Hey, hey, hey. Oof, it's a great Tuesday. Just came back from getting my walk on, trying to get this weight down a little bit. Not too big, y'all. But just coming on to talk about something today that really hit home for me. And that is realizing who I am and what I was purposed to do. Oftentimes, um, we are thrown off track by life situations that come up. We are thrown off track we're distracted. Who was that who walked on the water? Who was that? Peter. Peter walked on the water and uh, trying to get to God, he was distracted and started to sink. And oftentimes we are distracted and we start to sink, but we still have to carry our title. We still have to, minister. We still have to go because that's our purpose. That's our calling. Um, but I want to talk about how do you handle the distraction? How do you overcome that hit? How do you face head on the repercussions of a test, a trial, a struggle, um, a problem, a situation? Um, I'm going to tell my story as we go on throughout the diary. But I was in a situation and it hit me. It knocked me straight from out of heaven. Like I thought I was untouchable. I thought not necessarily untouchable, but I thought me and God's relationship was just so, whew, I mean out this world, and He had begun to open up in revelation and open up the prophetic and everything, and I've always heard it for years that the higher you go, the more devils, the more tests. The higher you go, the more dimensions you go. The new levels bring new devils. I've heard all of that. I've preached it. I've said it. I've encouraged people going through their times of need and their situations. But then when it hit my house, when it hit me and my family, I didn't realize that, good God, all these things I've been preaching all these years, I did not realize that it would smack me like that. This is beyond a water being cut off, lights being cut off. This is beyond not having enough gas in the car. This is even beyond not having enough food to eat. Like I'm like, oh my God, where what? This is like a Job and a Joseph kind of situation. Like, God, how you gonna put me here? When I'm doing your will, I'm doing your work, and why now? I ask God, why now? Why in this time of ministry? Why in this time of elevation? Why in this time of, revelation and knowledge coming to me? And He said, well, I just couldn't understand it. I could not understand it. And I took myself and I put me and my family on a sabbatical, on a ministry sabbatical, because I could not understand how in the world God will bring me all the way to a place of getting a little respect, getting a little acknowledgement. To a place of back to ground zero. Um, you know, I'm lost for words. I'm lost for, like, God. How in the world? What's going to happen now? And at that time, I went on a sabbatical. We went on a sabbatical for a whole year. And in the midst of that year, it's as though I shut everything down, and it was as though in that year that uh, God took it upon Himself to strip me. Good God, took it upon Himself to strip everything uh, that needed to be stripped away out of me, off of me, And he began to minister to me in the midst of the stripping. He began to minister to me, and he began to let me know that as you get ready to jump back out, he said you're going to have a better understanding of ministry. You're going to have a better compassion over people. You're going to have a better tolerance over church members and their raggedy behavior. He said you're going to be able to understand where those who have been at the lowest of the low. He said you're not only going to minister to them from a scripture point of view, God, but you're going to minister to them from a living point of view. He said, and a lot of people, a lot of ministers and preachers, we have we're coming up and we have a good message, and we have a good, the little testimony. It's all okay, but what happens to the people who you cannot reach because you have not been in their shoes? You can throw scripture at people all day long. You could throw scripture all day long, but what happens when it hits your house? Then where the scriptures at then? And that's what God began to tell me. He began to say, I have to strip you, I have to strip you of everything that you thought. I put you up, all to bring you down in order for you to know what it really feels like to be in hell. What it really feels like when somebody comes to tell you, pastor, preacher, minister, evangelist, prophet, I am going through one of the toughest times of my life. What do I do? And instead of me throwing a scripture, God said, instead of you just throwing scripture at people, you're going to be able to now use what you've been through. Use what you suffered through. Use what embarrassed you, what humiliated you. Use what brought you down out of cloud 10. Come on, somebody. He said, you're going to use that in order to reach people and meet them right where they are. He said, it's not until the best preachers are not the ones who are birthed through their pastors. The best preachers are the ones birthed through Jesus Christ, through their testimony, through their adversities, through their pain, through their struggle, through their hardship, through their times of where they felt like the lowest thing on the bottom of the totem pole. And that's where I've been. And the year got, when I say he stripped me, I mean, I lost from cars. I mean, I lost everything. I mean, things just going. It just felt like I got to a breaking point. And I just said, okay, God, I give it all up. I give it all up. My little intellect cannot. And that's what he was waiting on. I was having at that moment a Jonah experience in the belly of that fish. I was having an experience, and I was in there, and I can remember one day I just dropped down on my knees and I just cried. I just said, Lord, what is it? I surrender. I give up. I give up everything, God. What is that you want from me? God, I have pleased people. I have done good for the church. I have done good for the community. I have stood out. I have done good for my family. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I've done good, God. And I've tried to build a name for myself, to get people's mind and attention off of what folks are saying and on what God has said about my life. I said, but God, you got me here and I'm just losing out. I mean, bills coming out of the wazoo, things getting cut off. I mean, God just stripping. And then he also took me and he held me. He held me in the place of where I was, where he held me in the place, in the location. He kept me in the city where I had to be embarrassed. He kept me in the city where people were talking about me and laughing at me and scandalizing my name. He kept me here. I could not move. I could not leave. My feet were running. My mind was running. My mind was running, but my feet were standing still. My heart was running, but my feet were standing still. I said, God, I can't move. I can't go. God, you got me stuck right here. And he said, that's because you have no reason to run, because this is a God thing. And I said, oh, God. I said, God, but people don't understand. He said, that's what's wrong with a lot of my preachers. we're depending on people to know who we are. When God says, I know who you are. I know the potential. I know where I want to take you. So how you handle your situation in the midst of a storm, in the midst of a test, in the midst of the lowest point of your life, you have to stand. Y'all, listen, I had to walk around. I had to go to church. I had to go out to the stores. I had to see people. I had to go to work, and the people that were work is talking and laughing and picking, and my children, my wife is getting harassed and talked about and lied on, and they're adding to the story, taking away from the story. I mean, just things day after day, week after week, and I'm sitting here dying on the inside. I'm dying in my flesh, but my spirit man is still living. I said, God, how in the world, God, do you still, then God begin to give me prophetic dreams and begin to give me things to text people and to say to people. I said, God, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of helping everybody else and nobody helping me. Nobody is looking and calling to say, man of God, how are you doing? I don't even call you man of God. Just call me man. How are you doing? What's going on, my brother? Are you okay? How was your family? How was everybody? How are you hanging in there? How are you holding on? Whether you believe it to be true or not, my brothers keepers, I couldn't find anybody. And I said, God, he said, you got to stop depending on people to validate you. You got to stop depending on people, whether you're doing good or whether you're doing bad. They're going to talk. So no matter you thought setting up a name for yourself was something great, that ain't nothing. Wait until how they see you come out. Wait until how they hear your testimony. Wait until how they see that your marriage survived. Wait to how to see that your children still love you. Wait to see how your family is going to support you and push you. Wait to see how I'm going to give you just a few folk to connect with that's going to help you get from ground zero to ground 100, to level 100. He said, don't take. He said, I had to strip. And sometime when you're in the situations, you have to take the beating, the crushing, the stripping, and the oil. And I hear God even the more now than I ever heard him. God speaks even the more now than he's spoken before. And I said, God, I can't understand. God, I don't know how you still want me to move on in the spirit realm when my flesh cannot catch up to what my spirit man feels and sees. How? My flesh is stuck in chapter 2, level 2, but my spirit man is on level 50. You want me to what? You want me to do what? And this is what I'm going through? And God told me, it's not about you. It never was about you. It never was. He said, I had to disconnect you from people. I had to show you who people really were. I had to show you who you really were. So that way, when you get, as I elevate you and as I raise you back up, he said, you'll be able to understand. You'll be able to minister and preach from a different place, a place of true love and compassion, a place of true testifying of how God brought me out, even in an impossible situation. So today I want to encourage you that when you're going through, when you're at the lowest of the low, get by yourself, encourage yourself, minister to yourself, love you in the midst of the trouble, love you in the midst of the storm, love you in the midst of the pain, love you. And as I begin to love on me and love on God, I begin to see my life turn. Things begin to turn around and everything. Everything that I lost in the year, God began to replace it. God began to, and I know people say materialistic things are not, what we should count our life on. But if God said I could have it, then why can't I have it? I want it. Whatever he said I could have on earth, he said, as it is in heaven, as it is on earth, as it is in heaven. Whatever I can have, I want it. And God began to replenish and replace. And when I tell you everything that I lost, God gave it back to me double, triple times of what I lost. I'm telling y'all, it's just amazing. Even my spiritual man, even my joy, even my pure happiness is all, it's all real. It's all magnified. It's all greater. It makes me, even now when I see people now who toot their nose but don't want to talk to me, don't want to see me, I don't even want to speak to me, I don't want me, at their church or whatever. I don't care. I know who I am and I know what God is doing in my life and that God has replenished. He has replaced everything that I lost triple times. And I told God, thank you. I told God, thank you. I told God, thank you, even in my job, elevation. I tell God, thank you. So when you're going through your situation, when you're going through your test, when you're going through your storm, don't be dismayed. Don't be weary. Don't be tired. Yes, you're going to be weary. Yes, you're going to be tired. Hold on. Hang in there. Find yourself at the crossroads and just throw your hands up and say, God, I surrender. Throw the white flag. God, I surrender. I surrender, God. And just like he did Jonah, he brought me out. He brought me out of the fish. And he allows me now to go and do what I have to do for the Father. And now I'm able to speak and minister from a place of understanding, a place where I now know, baby, I done been there. I done been to hell and back. And I made it out. God bless you. Preacher's Diary. I'm out.